I fear it does not get any better than this. I'm wearing the most comfortable cardigan that I crocheted. Here's the back. It's Sailor Moon themed, of course. By the way, I'm waiting for the sun to shine because the sun has been coming out every 5 seconds within an hour, and now it's gone. Do you see how it just went? Do you see how it just went? This is what I'm having to deal with. Oh, it's back. It's back. Anyway, I am selling this one on my Depop. I don't know if anyone will buy it. Maybe somebody will. But if nobody buys it, I won't care because I will keep it for myself. So, but the big question is how? How do you construct them? How do you make them? What's the plan before making them? How do you make sure it's going to fit you? We're going to go through this video that I do today. And then I'm going to also post a vlog of like making this. That's going to be a separate video. But for this video, I'm going to show you guys how I made this cardigan, because it's also the same way that I make all of my cardigans. Well, most of my cardigans. So the first step in this process is always the back panel. We start with the back panel. I'll be looking down because I am reading off of my little script. So the back panel is a pixel grid, and this is either going to be made on Stitch Fiddle or through a graph that you find on the internet. I prefer using Stitch Fiddle to make my back tapestry because you just have more control over it. For example, every single cardigan I've made, I use Stitch Fiddle to make the back panel, except for the Sailor Moon one, which is the one I'm showing you today, but I will show you how I do both. So let's get into the planning and the measurements. Quick disclaimer, this is just how I do it. If you don't like the way that I make these cardigans, tapestries, please find another way that suits you, okay? Let us see in the comments how it looks. I'm gonna say something that's gonna get a lot of people mad. First, you have to make a swatch. Boo, boo. Okay, stop booing. I would say that, especially if you're a beginner, swatches are important in the beginning, okay? Because how else are you gonna know how wide you want your cardigan to be? A swatch is just a little square, and it's made up of like 10, 20 stitches, and then you use that swatch to estimate how long your full measurement of your back panel is going to be. I would be lying to you if I said I do swatches. I never make a swatch unless it's for a pattern. So I didn't make a swatch, but let's pretend that this is a swatch, for example, for the sake of this video, right? I'm going to fold it in half. Swatches are usually like 10 rows and then 20 stitches across. That's what I see the most in crochet. This is like or let's say it's 5 inches, right? So you would remember that 5 inches is 20 stitches, right? Now you would get your measurement of either your shoulder, from one shoulder to this shoulder, you would get this measurement. Or you could also just get a sweater that you own or a big oversized cardigan that you own that you like and that you kind of want to emulate for your crochet project, and then take the measurement of that, right? And then with your swatch information, you would then basically find out how many stitches go into that measurement. So I just took the measurement of my shoulder to shoulder here, right? And that's about 22 inches. Because this swatch has 20 stitches in 5 inches, 40 stitches are in 10 inches, and then 60 stitches are in 15. 80 stitches are in 20 inches, and now I need to get to what, 22? So I'll have to pull up a calculator, but it's going to be like 110-ish stitches. That is what I just did right now, right? I hope that's right. Please tell me that's right. Unfortunately, I was not right. So as I'm editing this, I realized that I did get to the right final number, but the calculations I did to get there with my swatch is wrong. The swatch was telling me I would need to chain like 90-ish, but in reality, I would need to chain way more. I would need to chain like 110. So my swatch just didn't work out, and I do talk about this, how sometimes the swatches are just weird. So I do suggest that, especially if you're plus size, that you should get a measurement from your chest, like the outer part of your chest, instead of just your shoulder to shoulder. That might not be enough. Or just go with a oversized sweater or cardigan that you already own that you want to copy. It's best to overestimate than underestimate. So that's why I like to just add a few inches, because especially with like being plus size, I like to just overestimate to make sure that it's an oversized cardigan. Like I'd rather have it oversized than too tight. My Penny Proud one, I don't know if you guys remember, but that one was 80-ish stitches across, and that was too small for a cardigan. Like, I had to add a lot of extra rows so that I could make it fit. Let's forget about the math now. Just do a swatch and make sure that you know how many chains your foundation chain. What that foundation chain is, so that was 110 for me, right? That means that every graph I should aim for 110. Now, like I said before, it's better to overestimate. So I don't always go with 110. Like, it can be 120, it could be 115. My Sailor Moon one was 133. So that was like very big though. That one is really big. With weight 4 yarn and a 4mm hook, I find anywhere between 110 and 120 is my personal sweet spot. My Attack on Titan cardigan is also 120, so that is 10 stitches more than what the swatch told me, and that fits perfect. That fits perfectly oversized for me. Now, I like to find graphs online before I go on Stitch Fiddle, just because making graphs is so long, especially like the editing, making sure you get all the colors right. It's very long. I find my graphs on Pinterest and braceletbook.com. That's the most common place that I find my graphs. So that's where I found the Sailor Moon one and the Penny Proud one. If I see a graph that is between that 110 to 120, I'm going to use it. If I see a graph that's really pretty, that's out of that range, I just try my best to manipulate the graph so that it fits me. A graph that is under my range, so 110, I'm either going to force myself to forget about it and so that I don't start crying, or I might add extra blank columns to the sides of just blank, like no design. I'll add that to the sides so that I can make up for that space. You can do this on Stitch Fiddle easily, but you could also just kind of keep a count in your mind if you find the graph online randomly. For example, the Luffy cardigan, that really viral Luffy cardigan. That one is 99 stitches. That one's free on Pinterest. It's 99 stitches in width. And for me, that is below my range, right? So if I were into one piece, which I'm not, I would simply add 5 rows to each side, because that brings it up to 109. You get it? Just 5 rows of whatever background color that is, like blue. And then it's going to fit me, probably, with my weight 4 yarn and my 4mm hook. If you find a graph that's too small and you want it to fit you, you could also just up your hook size. So increase your hook size. You can also increase your yarn weight. So I usually work with weight Forn Loops and Threads brand. What did I just say? Forn? I usually work with weight 4 yarn. Loops and Threads brand is my favorite. Always factor in the yarn, always factor in the hook size and the stitch. I always do single crochet. If you find a graph that's a little bit too small and you want to do that graph because it's so pretty, you could also just increase from single crochet to half double crochet. Nobody talks about that because I feel like most tapestries are in single crochet, but half double crochet is still an option, and you can do that too. So yes, you can manipulate the graph by changing the hook size and the yarn weight. And alternatively, if the graph is too wide for your range, sorry guys, I'm looking down because I've written this. I don't want to miss anything. If the graph is too wide for your range, then you can also size down your hook size. I'm so sorry. If the graph is too wide, then you can size down your yarn to weight 3 or below. And you could also just size down your hook to 3.5, 3. Like, there's different things you can do to manipulate the graph. I'd rather have a graph that's like a little bit too big because I'd rather just drown in a cozy cardigan than try to fit myself into a tight one. You get what I mean? Let's move on to the front panel. So this is the easiest part. All you have to do is have the back panel. So HALVE, have it, half the back panel number. So imagine my cardigan is 110. I would then get 55 and 55, but I would also take off a few stitches for my neckline. You could also just get your back panel once you finish crocheting it, put it to your back, and then put stitch markers in the areas where you want your neckline to begin. I've done this before too. But usually for me, that's like around 10 to 15 stitches. I would then just do 50, 50, that's 100, and then leave 10 alone for my neckline. And then my graph on Stitch Fiddle, or the graph I find on Pinterest or whatever, is now going to be a graph that is 50 stitches wide. Do you get it? Do you get it? Now let's say you find a graph and it's like perfect. You want that to be your front panel, but it's not fitting into your range. I can actually show you guys what I did, because that was the case for my Sailor Moon cardigan, which by the way has been bought. Somebody's buying it. Look at the little sticker. It says my name. So that panel, you see the cat that was on that panel. I found that graph on Pinterest, of course, and it was 52 stitches wide. So all I did was manually, I say all I did like it was so simple. It was the longest thing ever, but I just got that graph and then I would plot every pixel on Stitch Fiddle and make the graph 150 by 60 because I wanted mine to be 60. And I just manipulated it so that it would sit at the area that I want it to. And no, you do not need to pay the premium to be able to do this. Stitch Fiddle actually allows you to do that for free. Stitch Fiddle, please don't change it now that I said that. Hope I didn't jinx myself. Now, did this take forever? Yes. But was it worth it? You tell me, guys. Look how good this looks. I think it was worth it. You can manipulate the charts very much easily, but you cannot be lazy with it. Like, just try different things. That's kind of all I have to say for the planning part and the measurements. If the graph is too big and it might not fit, then depending on how big it is, maybe it's just a few stitches, then all I would do is just take out the outer rows, or like if there's rows of nothing, just take that out. You know what I mean? Like there might sometimes be columns of nothing, like there's no pixel or it's not integral to the design. You can always just take that out, or like, make it smaller depending on what you need. That's all of my advice, guys. If you have more questions, put it in the comments and I will definitely answer. But also, I'm going to now show you guys how to construct everything, how to put everything together. My roommate's smiling at me in the background. But yes, if you want more help, just ask me in the comments. To sew the front panels to the back panel, all I do is just put my needle and my yarn underneath both loops and sew it where the wrong sides are facing me, the exact way that I'm showing you right here. After sewing it to the back panel, you should count how many you have left, and it should be what you took off in the beginning when you're deciding your neckline. Then you're going to go ahead and weave in the ends and cut off, and you're done. So now this is how I make my sleeves. So how to decide how big I want the sleeves to be. Literally just I pretend like I'm wearing the cardigan and pinch it and put a stitch marker there. And then I sew from the bottom up into that stitch marker, and I'll show you guys how I sew. So I like to sew inside out. So I fold my cardigan so that the wrong sides are facing outwards, and then I just sew from the bottom up to where I want to stop. I like to make sure that the rectangles, this is the best way I can describe them, but like where my needle is, I'm trying to make sure that everything is aligned. And that's the way I'm going to sew, because you don't want to sew everything together and then it's all kind of mismatched. You want to make sure that everything is aligned. Each row is adjacent to both panels, if you know what I mean. Every rectangle here is 2 rows, right? So you go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 30. So that's 30 rows that I've just counted. And there's going to be 30 rows. So approximately there's going to be 30 rows over here too, right? If we made everything equal at the bottom. So that's about 60 stitches for the sleeves, give or take a few, of course. After doing all my sewing, I like to just weave in the ends on the wrong side, the same way that we would for any other part of weaving in ends. Just make sure it's like really in there, you know what I mean? Like, don't let this come apart. Snip, and we're done. All good. Now that we're moving on to the sleeves, it does not matter where we are crocheting from. We could crochet from the right side, so over here, or inside out, does not matter. For yarn, this is all the yarn I have left. I bought 2 of these humongous Caron pound cakes. This is just how much I have left from both of those skeins. So, and you know, I've done so many random tapestries, so I'm actually so shocked that I have a lot left. Anyway, so this is what I do, guys. I like to start from not the very middle, but like right next to the very middle, like over here, right? I like to start right here, not where they conjoin, but just above it on the right side. Okay, this is where I start. You can start wherever, but watch. I'll show you why I start here. I go and I pick up a loop, pull up a loop, chain 3, 1, 2, 3. This is a 3.5 millimeter hook. I always size down for my sleeves. And then in the stitch where I did that chain 3, we are not going to go back in that stitch. So I've done that chain 3 in this stitch right here, right? You can see this hole. And then in the next stitch, I will do a double crochet. It's hard to see like where you're doing it, but honestly, just find a hole, okay? And I will do my double crochet there. And then you can see the next stitch is either going to be right here or in the middle. It's like it's a bit blurry. The next stitch is going to be a decrease. Now it's going to be kind of hard. Don't know where to put the decrease, but I kind of make sure my decrease is in between both panels. Okay, so I start over here. Just put your hook in any hole, then you go through 2, and then you're going to pick up a loop again and make sure that you go through the next panel and then go through 3. There's no big gaps now because I've done that decrease and I've kind of like combined the panels together. I think that's why I do it. And then we are just going to be inserting a double crochet into every single stitch, 1 for each row. So we're going to try to put 1, 1 for these 2 rows, 1, 1 for these 2 rows. So 2, 4, 6, 8. You know what I mean? Like, so I did it for this row. I'm going to put a double crochet for the next row. Oops. Right? And then I'm going to put a double crochet in this gap here. And then the next place I'm going to go in is right here. You see this hole? So I'm going to go right here and put a double crochet. And then I'm going to go right here. So in the middle, I go in the middle and then the 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 line, the middle, and then the line. It's so hard to explain, but you can see where I'm putting it in. Right, middle, then the separation of the two rows, then the middle, and then the separation. You see what I mean? So you're doing one for each row. So I'm gonna meet you back once I'm finished this round. I've put one double crochet in this gap, and now the next hole I have is where I chained 3. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do another double crochet in that same chain 3 stitch, because I don't like gaps. You can do what you want depending on your cardigan, but I like to eliminate the gaps as much as I can, and if it's too many stitches I'll just decrease. Okay, so then you're going to, at the very top of the first double crochet that we did, so not the chain 3, like this, pull through and pull through and slip stitch, and then we're going to chain 3 again, 1 2 3, and then we're actually going to turn our work. We're going to turn our work, and then we are going to do this all over again. So the chain 3 is right here, it all aligns, chain 3 over here, and then we're going to double crochet here, and then double crochet. Now at this point I would just count how many stitches I have, because I don't want it to be too small, too big. Just make sure you count. From my experience using this hook and this exact same weight yarn, I don't like when it's above 60. So let me count. So I have about 64 stitches. I've just counted all of them. And so I'm going to do a few decreases just to get me at 60. I think I'm more comfortable with 60. And I'll just spread them out evenly. I'm not going to worry too much about that. I'll just keep trying this on as I go to see whether I'm liking it, like how big it is, how big the sleeves are. I'll keep, trying it on and see. I might add a few decreases here and there if it's too big, but if not, then it's okay. Of course, once again, it depends, because this cardigan is bigger and you can see that it hung much lower on my arm, so I won't need to do 30, I doubt. 30 rows. I don't think I would need to do 30 rows because of how big the cardigan is. So I'm just going to keep going and keep trying it on. The best thing I can tell you is to just keep trying it on if you're making this for yourself. Bear with me. It's kind of hard to show you guys, but if you can see, I'm at a point where I feel like I like the length of my sweater, or my sleeve, sorry. I like the length of my sleeve if I add just a few more rows, right? Factoring in blocking, like right now, if I leave it like this and then put the cuff, I know it's going to be a little bit too short. I'm on like 59, 60 stitches. So I'm going to now do about 3 more rows. And in those 3 rows, I need to decrease enough so that my last row is like 35 stitches. So I need to get from like 60 to 35, meaning I need to decrease, decrease, decrease. Here comes the math. I have 3 rows to work with, and I need to get from 60, give or take, to 35. I say 35 because from my experience of doing crochet cardigans, 35 is usually what I do for my wrist, like for the cuffs. It just fits my wrist. It might be different for you. Row 1, I'm going to decrease, and I'm going to end on like 50 stitches. Then row 2, I'm going to end on 40, and then for row 3 I want to be on 35 stitches. Do you get it? In the past I used to do this manually by head. I don't know how I used to do that, but recently I found a crochet stitch calculator which will just do the math for you. This is a lifesaver. I can't believe I don't even understand how I worked out how much I would need to do. I think it was just trial and error. But now, girl, I'm not doing all that. I'm just gonna put it into that little calculator over there and it'll do it for me. So as you can see, this is what it looks like. I put in 40 stitches, for example, and I want to get a 35 for my target, and then it just tells me the little pattern that I need to do that. and it's always right as long as you look at it. So it says like, it says single crochet, but it's any stitch. You can see here, I'm starting to decrease. I've done about 18 rows of no decreases, if you can tell. And then this row, I used the crochet stitch calculator to get from 59 to 50. And that told me to do, let me just count it, 1, 2, 3. It told me to do 4 double crochets and then decrease, then 4 double crochets, then decrease. So that's how I spread out the decreases. And now the second row of the last 3 rows is telling me to do 3 double crochets and then decrease, 3 double crochets, then decrease. So that's what I'm doing. And then the last row will be from 40 stitches to 35. And we'll see what that says. I think it'll be 6 double crochets and then decrease, 6 double crochets, then decrease, and then I'll be done. You guys, I'm getting so excited. I just tried this on and it looks so good. So now we're gonna do the cuffs. I love the purple shades, like the contrast. I love it. So here's what I do for my cuffs. Oh wait, I need to leave this end. Hold on. All done. So we are now going to do the cuffs. Now I'm using this purple. This is all the little purple. This is all the purple I have left, like in this shade. So it's over, bro. Like I'm gonna have to definitely buy another skein so that I can do the like body ribbing and show you guys how I do that. Starting from the outside of the cuff, you can start anywhere you want. I like to always start where I did the slip stitch so that the like messiness is all contained to one area. I'm gonna insert my hook like this, crocheting from right to left. I'm gonna get my yarn, short end here, and just pull up a loop. And then this is your choice. I usually do an odd number for my cuffs. I don't know why, but I'm gonna chain 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then I say odd number because I'm gonna skip that first. I'm gonna skip that first chain, and I'm gonna have 7 at the end of this. So I'm skipping that chain, and then I'm gonna go here into the next chain. Notice how I'm going in the chains and not the bumps like I usually do, because that's important for ribbing. And then I'm gonna do a single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the 7th one is going to be a little hard to see, but it is our last single crochet right here in this loop. So this is number 7. Okay. After that, this is what I do. I do 2 slip stitches into the next 2 stitches. So 1 slip stitch here, 1, okay, and then the next slip stitch on the second double crochet here, and 2. And then we're going to turn our work, so turn the row like this. So now the hook should be at the back of the thread of the yarn. And then we're going to go into the back loop only, and we are going to do another single crochet in the back loop. Okay, and we should end off with 7, or however many you've decided you want to do. It's a little bit awkward. 1, just make sure that you can see. I don't want it to be too zoomed in. 2, 3, 4, and I'm going into the back loops of every single stitch from now on. 5, 6, and 7. That's 7, okay? Then we're going to chain 1 at the end of that, and then we're going to turn the work again, and once again we're going to repeat, and we're going to do back loop only, and we're going to do single crochet. 1, 2, back loop only. 3, the back loop is the loop furthest away from you, sorry. 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then we're going to slip stitch again, 1 in the next stitch. Make sure you're not going into the same stitch. You can see the purple is coming out of this stitch, right? So we're not going back here. We're going to the next stitch. We're going right here, not here. We're going here. We're doing 1 slip stitch and then 2nd slip stitch. Then we turn the work again. Hook is at the back of the yarn, and then back loop only, 1 single crochet, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and then we chain 1 at the end. Okay, and we repeat that until you finish the whole row, and then I'll show you what to do at the end. It's really simple. This part is the most satisfying, like the ribbing, but it also feels like really long. It feels like it takes a long time, but I just like the way ribbing looks, like how tight and professional it looks. Okay, so I'm nearing the end of this round. I've done my 7 single crochets. I'm going to slip stitch for my 2, 1 and 2. And now I'm going to once again do 2 rows of back loop only, single crochet, and 7. So after I've done that last single crochet, what I do is I like to just slip stitch back into the very first row. So right here, slip stitch, and then I pull up a longish loop because we need to save yarn. Pull that up. Then we are going to get our tapestry needle, and then we are going to just sew it. Now we have to first align everything together so that we know we are sewing it to the right stitch. It's kind of hard to see, but try to align like 1 to 1, 2 to 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, blah, blah. It does not have to be that perfect. But let me actually just count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes. So I'm going to go like this, align it, and then pull through and pull that down. Right back here, 2nd loop on this side to the 2nd loop on that side. And we are just going to sew everything and try to be as equal and adjacent as possible. Gosh. Four to 4. And then 5 to 5. 6 to 6. And then 7 up here to 7. And that is it. Weave in the ends on the inside so that we don't see anything on the outside. So I do want to mention that there are multiple ways to do ribbing. You do not have to do it the way that I've shown you. Once again, this is just how I do it. I wonder how it would look slip stitch. I feel like it would be even tighter, or it would look tighter than, you know, how it looks right now if it was slip stitch instead of single crochet. Also, knitting ribbing is apparently very much like stretchy and stuff. So I'm sure you could try that too. But yeah, this is just what I do, guys. It works up quick compared to knitting, that's for sure. So I'm going to stick to this until I find something else that works even better. Now we're going to move on to the body ribbing. Now this is extremely similar to the cuffs. In fact, it's the exact same. This is just the most important part that I need to get across. You see how I'm about to crochet like this, like insert the yarn and start crocheting. This would be wrong because if I go like this and I start slip stitching, like imagine, right? I start slip stitching like this, 1, 2, then the right side of the ribbing is going to be facing the inside of the project, but we want it to face the outside. Do you get what I mean? Turning the project so that I'm starting from the right panel, so this panel over here, and I'm just going to crochet with the right side facing me, and it's upside down. This is so hard to show you guys, but basically I want to make sure that my slip stitches are facing the right side of the project, and I'm just going to slip stitch, making sure that my slip stitches are facing me like this, and they're on the right side of the work. So I'm going to chain 8 again, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, skip 1, chain, and start crocheting. And you're just going to repeat exactly what you did for the cuffs, except it's a straight line. Okay, and then I'm going to meet back again. It's probably going to be in a few days because I need to get more yarn, and I'll show you the last. There's just one little technical change that I will show you in the very next clip. Oops. And that'll be it. So 1, and then slip stitch 2 again, same thing, 1, 2, and then we turn the work and we do exactly the same thing. 7 single crochets, 1, 2. Like I'm starting from this panel, and then I'm going all the way under and over, and I'm gonna end up back here instead of starting from here. Okay, so I'm starting from here, and then once the ribbing is fully finished on the bottom, you're gonna start on that last stitch, and you're just going this way upwards. So I'll show you that, and that'll be it. So that is all I have for you guys today. I'm just chatting in this clip, don't mind me. That's it. Yeah, I hope you guys found this helpful, and I'll see you in the next one.